I bought it for that, and then like 3 months later, COVID hit. That was the beginning of 2020, and
Well, I
I was
mean, that's pretty cool toy to have when COVID hits,
right,
though. I'm just
right.
saying.
It is. However, I was one of the earlier COVID cases in my city, which turned
Oh,
into long COVID. I'm one of the original long
oh
haulers.
no.
And welcome back to the Riley Black Project, Crystal and John.
Hey.
I can't get enough of that new open. The
Yeah,
song
I'm pretty
is
obsessed
catchy.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you were scrolling
Yeah, and
Instagram
heard
today
the
and heard the
music.
song, and we were like,
Yeah.
which, mind you, we got
Yeah.
it like, what do you call it? Royalty free on
Yeah.
like one of the
Yeah, one of the
like
paid
the
one of the
paid services
sites.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like totally like allowed
Yeah.
for them to use it as well. But
For
we were
sure.
like, no.
But just
Thankfully,
of
it wasn't their
all-
intro.
Right,
So
of all the choices, that's
Right?
what they picked for that. But
Right?
it was
Yes.
it was kind of funny.
it's a good song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine. She's giving all of our listeners 10% off with code Riley Black, monarchpine.etsy.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, right?
That's all
That's
of the
That's
the
all we
things.
got.
Well, yeah, we did the shout outs late last month, so we're going to
So we're
give
gonna do a
everybody
little
a
late.
break
Yeah.
for the shout outs, and then we'll
Yes.
do those. We'll resume those next week.
Yes, and if you're not a Patreon member yet, now is the perfect time. Remember, it's ad free and you get extended interviews.
Yeah. And for this month, you get $10 from Great Lakes Laser Supply.
Yes.
And do I tell them who's next month?
No.
Okay.
No. You don't want to take the shine away from
That's
Blake.
true. You don't want them to be like, no, I'm
yeah,
going to wait.
No, I'm gonna wait for
Yeah.
so and so. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, our guest today
Yes.
has also been in course overload and craziness.
And from what she's told me, she had just as much fun as I did.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Her motto for this year is collaboration.
Yes. Which I love
Collaborate,
it. Yes.
which is great, which is a great motto to have. And one thing I'm interested in learning more about is this whole traveling laser business.
Right.
Because we've played with
We
the
have.
idea of like an RV and all those things. And I
Right.
can't wait to see like what vehicle she has.
Right.
and
All the details.
all the details that come with
Yeah.
the traveling. And I mean, we're planning to go on tour if you haven't seen that little piece
Yes.
of promo. But without further ado, welcome to the show, Liz from Bela Collective. How's it going?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
So I met Liz a couple months ago when speaking of collaborating, she reached out for a project that I'll probably have her describe because I don't want to mess it up. But yeah, so quickly before we get into your laser background, tell us a little bit about like the project that you and I and many other women worked together on, I guess.
Yeah. So it's called Behind the Laser. And what it is, it's a video compilation of 40 different women all in the laser space running their own businesses, giving their best 60 seconds of business advice. So
Which, mind you, was really hard.
I mean, yes, I get
I
it. I'm gonna
highly
do it too.
underestimated how hard 60 seconds, it was. I had to have him do some movie magic to speed it up a little bit because I couldn't like talk any faster and had to get like all of that in there, but then like make it so that it's like complete. I love the concept and I can't wait to watch it. I wanted to watch it before this so that I could, come with that, but I kept getting distracted by shiny things. But it's coming out this week for everyone else.
Yeah. By the
So-
time they're hearing it, it should be out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us like what made you want to start that and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think two different reasons. One of them, about 2 years ago, my business kind of took off and I had no idea who to turn to for business advice. Like, I don't have a business background, nothing.
Right.
So a lot of what I'm doing these days is like, how can I help myself 2 years ago? Like, what was I looking for, and what would have been really helpful to have? So I thought, if we could just pull our own community, we've got the business advice there, um,
Right.
that everyone needs. So if we could just compile it somehow, and then I thought, well, why not? I'll just try, give it a shot, and
Yeah.
see if I can get these women. So that was probably the main reason of wanting to put it together, just to help like the version of myself 2 years ago who was really, searching
Yeah.
for some advice and friends and all of that. Yeah.
Well, and I think what's cool too, even for me, there was a lot of people on that list that I didn't know or haven't heard of or haven't crossed into like my little circle of
Right.
the laser world,
Right.
And there could be other people that I relate to on different paths, or I really like, what they do or how they do it. And just collaborating has helped me meet so many other people and like just expand that that network, because
Right. Right.
it really is huge. You never know when you're going to need or want someone who, yes, is in the same industry but does it a little bit differently. Like
Yeah.
one person I met with, well, two people actually, with Laser Maker Con that we did with Emily was Heather Bennett, and she actually has a location in northern Florida that we hope to use for our podcast tour at some point when we go on the East Coast. And so little things like that, like I didn't know about her prior to that, virtual conference. And so meeting her, it's like, oh, okay, well, great. Now I know someone that we can collaborate on something again, in the future. And it will hopefully help both of our businesses, not just
Right.
one or the other. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love how you said too, like a lot of the women on the list just haven't crossed paths. Like
Yeah.
I haven't crossed paths with you yet, and we've both been in the laser world for a while.
Right. Years.
So,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I think part of that too, that was kind of the second impetus was, I am really connected with more of the modern laser look, or just like shops that look like me. And I feel like we all gravitate towards probably
Right.
people who are similar styles and all that. And there's not many educators in the modern space. So I thought, let's bring in a few fresh faces, see if they can, do their first video. It'll be a little bit less intimidating if,
Right.
everyone's doing it together. So yeah. So
Yeah.
that was another huge
I love
one.
that. And so it's free, right? For
Yeah,
everyone
free
to
resource.
view.
And then it also comes with a downloadable PDF so that you can connect with everyone from the video. Everyone has like a freebie or a coupon or, a new thing you can learn. So connect with them that way. Download that PDF. It's all free and
Nice.
make some new friends.
Yeah. My freebie is
It's very cool.
octopus LED sign file. So, and that's pretty like exclusive because only people who've purchased my course get that as an option currently. Yeah. So not to say that I maybe won't, do it like down the road. But I just don't even have time right now. But I just wanted it was the one that I showed in my little 60 seconds. I'm partial to it because I drew that octopus years ago for an Apple Watch band design.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think people forget if you're creating files, especially as like an earlier designer, that these elements, like Heather and I call it recycling. You use that same element, and like if you really like it, you can then turn it into signs, keychains, watch bands, earrings. Like that one little piece of a file can morph into so many other, things. And obviously when I drew it for the watch band, I never thought I'd make an LED sign out of it. And then I also made a keychain out of it as well that I also love. But yeah, I liked getting myself out there, and hopefully now, just like a lot of people were brand new to me, I hope that I'm brand new to other people as well. And it just gets, your exposure out there without having to, Facebook ads or, find Facebook groups or, the other more tedious ways of getting to know people,
Get your name out there.
Yeah. And virtually, because that's pretty much everything we do now, even if it is local. Or
Well, a lot of the shops are like virtual shops.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the revolution in laser engraving. Introducing Lens Digital, the creators of the game-changing Pyburn rotary attachment. With the Pyburn 4.0, you can turn ordinary cups, tumblers, glasses, and more into extraordinary masterpieces.
Looking to engrave niche items or want the functionality of a Chuck rotary? Look no further than the Pyburn Grip, Lens Digital's Chuck-style rotary. With a range of different sized jaws, you can easily engrave a wide variety of items. All Lens Digital products are compatible with most CO2 and Galvo lasers and were designed specifically for the laser industry. All that, paired with the best-in-class customer support, Lens Digital is your one-stop shop for all of your rotary needs.
Transform your laser engraving game with Lens Digital, where makers succeed. Unleash your creativity today.
And don't forget, we are proud Lens Digital affiliates as well. If you're shopping, code Riley Black will take $50 off any order of $600 or more. Hey makers, are you trying to grow your laser business but struggle with things like social media, building local business relationships, setting up your website, how to charge for your products, or when to add employees to your business?
Samita and Anuj Patel are passionate about helping other makers build their laser business and realize that each business owner is at a different stage in their journey. Like many of us, they started with a hobby laser at home but have since grown to a warehouse with 7 lasers, a UV printer, and generate 6 figures in sales and ship out over 5,000 orders a year.
Their one-on-one mentoring sessions are perfect for those who have questions and want answers. The hour-long session will be conducted over Zoom and will be recorded so that you have access to it after as well. No question is off the table, and they will give you actionable steps to take your business to the next level. Book your mentoring call at homeboundcustom.com to start growing your business today. How did you get into the laser world? Like, go back to Liz. I almost called you Bella.
Yeah, I know. I had thought I'm going to call you Riley on accident. So sorry.
If you do, it's totally okay. How did you get into the laser world? Like, what were you doing before you purchased your first laser?
Yes. I mean, it's a whole long story. And I think we all have those long stories of like, how did we arrive where we are?
It's usually this weird, like, hop along accidental thing.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I've been one of those crafters my entire life, like always learning new tools and learning different techniques and all that stuff. So I saw the Glowforge laser come about on their Kickstarter and thought, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest thing. I would love to learn that someday. And I had different Etsy stores for about 13 years now. And at the time when I bought my laser, I was in grad school for counseling and I was working in a play therapy center and was like creating toys for them. Developed a toy line, a play therapy toy line. And I thought, this is a great excuse to buy my laser. Yeah. So I bought it for that. And then like 3 months later, COVID hit. That was the beginning of 2020. And
I mean, that's pretty cool toy to have when COVID hits, though. Right? I'm just saying.
It is. However, I was one of the earlier COVID cases in my city, which turned into long COVID. I'm one of the original long haulers.
Oh, no.
So I did not get to play with my laser for about a year. It sat in the corner. Shit. I had to quit my job. I had to pause grad school. It took about 2 years for my body to just get back on track. Jeez. And I had not designed files before, but I found that I could lay in bed or lay on my couch and open up Adobe Illustrator, and it used a part of my brain that like didn't exhaust me, and it was so fun and energizing.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know that I had like long COVID, but I think I had like longer COVID version. Or like the in between, because I remember him. So when he had it, he got back to normal pretty quick.
Yeah,
and I struggled. He what?
I had the Omarion.
The Omarion. I struggled with the brain fog and the exhaustion for like months.
It's
It
no
was like,
joke.
oh,
It's like
okay, like
totally
all the
different
rest went
level.
away. Yeah, and the cough. I had the cough for forever too, but that's pretty normal for me anyway. But like all the other symptoms had gone away. You know, I was testing negative, and I'm like, but like, what? What's wrong with my brain? And why am I so tired all the time?
all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, that
Although
was it for me. It was just
I would get it for the sleep again.
No, I don't want that sleep.
I would get it for the sleep. That was some good sleep.
oh my gosh, I couldn't sleep. That was my problem.
Oh
I
no,
slept,
really?
I slept for the entire, like basically the entire day.
Tammy was like,
we woke
the
up.
whole day.
It was it was New Year's Day, so I got it. I got it New Year's Eve because I was out at a New Year's Eve party. Not partying, I was on assignment because I worked at news and I was a cameraman. So I was
cool.
out at a New Year's Eve party covering that, and even though it was outdoor, I still got it. Came home, felt normal, felt fine, went to bed, woke up, and it was a totally different type of tired.
Yeah.
It was just like body, like just
Your
blah.
soul is tired. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
So
Literally.
I rolled over, I tapped her,
Oh, I'll never forget that.
and I was like, it got me.
I was like,
She's like, what? I'm like,
what got
the
you?
vid.
And I was like,
It got me.
no.
And I think it had been like a year at that point.
Yeah.
It had been a year that it hadn't even.
I don't think
Didn't
either. I
even
didn't
get
get
it.
it until then either, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Well, when was Sacramento? Was Sacramento before then?
Oh, I don't know. Sacramento was August of 22.
because I used your positive at work. And I had
But I
already
think
got
that
it.
was after.
Yeah, that was after. It was
Yeah,
after.
because that was 2021.
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
when you got it for the first time, and then
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah,
Yeah, it
after,
was after.
again.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that sleep though. I slept for an
No.
entire day. It was all right. It wasn't too bad. For me. I understand not
Right,
everyone
yeah,
got
no, it was
the
not the
same
same
thing.
experience
You
for
obviously got
everyone.
it a lot harder than
No,
I did,
yeah.
and from your story, you got it way harder than all of us.
Right?
It was
Well,
crazy.
so how did you? So you just gradually started using your iPad with what energy you had, and you said it
Right.
didn't make you tired.
Yeah. So I kept going. I was like,
Yeah.
I was out of job, out of grad school, and just started designing. And then put my designs up on Etsy because I'd already had an Etsy store. It was super convenient. I just kind of like slid some designs in there,
Yeah.
and then they took off. And within about 3 months, I was like, okay, this is my full-time gig. Like this, I'm going to
That's
do this. I
awesome.
enjoy it. The income's coming in. So it was a huge gift. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that I love one thing. I love the like a positive byproduct of COVID is that it really. It was like the, what do you call it? Like the catapult or the catalyst
Yeah.
that pushes people into
Pivots.
being an entrepreneur or
Yeah.
business or something creative when they wouldn't normally comfortably take that jump on their own. You know, I had already like taken that jump, you know, because he found a job, you know, back home in Florida. And so I had already taken that jump. But I feel like if not, COVID would have hopefully been that kind of like point for me then, because it just, you know, a lot of people lost their job and
Right.
couldn't really find another one. So they were almost forced to get creative. And a lot of times that was with some form of self-employment, laser, silhouette, you know, other kind of job that they had been thinking about all the time. And they're like, well, what's worst case scenario? I'm already out of work anyway.
I have a friend who worked hospitality on South Beach, and now catches iguanas.
Oh,
Now
really? He
Yeah.
started that during COVID?
He started that during he lost
wow.
he lost his job in hospitality down on South Beach. He worked at like numerous hotels throughout his career, and there were no visitors. They shut down, so he lost his
Right.
job, and he started it as like a hobby because they're evasive here.
Oh, right.
And you don't really need much more than like a high power BB gun to really
Right.
get them. And then someone hired him to remove him from their property, and he started his own iguana removal
Business,
and critter.
Yeah, and he has a
business.
YouTube channel and all that now.
Yeah. So now that's what he does.
Yeah.
He
That's cool.
removes
I would
iguanas.
love for someone in like give us a couple more years, but like put out a podcast that's all about pandemic pivots. Like I want to hear the
Oh,
business stories.
yeah.
There's so many of us that had to pivot and are doing some
Yeah.
really cool stuff. So
That's a good
yeah,
idea.
I love
We
it.
should collab on that.
Mm.
I like it.
And you got your title, Pandemic Pivot.
Right?
It's catchy, right?
Yeah.
It was really catchy.
That works.
Don't use the initials though.
PP.
PP.
Yeah, we'll change that up.
So, and then at what point did did it become basically a traveling business? And what point did you get back to your laser? Because you were creating the designs, and were they just like, what kind of designs were they? Were they just PNGs, or were they actually like laser files? Or
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so what made me design my first SVG file was somebody had asked for a gift at my internship site. And so I thought, I'll make some earring stands because I couldn't find an SVG file I liked. And those were the first files that I put up on Etsy. So I really was only selling physical products for like 2 weeks during Christmas. Yeah. And then I was completely digital from then. So I had my laser at my house at that time. And then, longer story, but I decided to Airbnb my property and have been traveling for this last year. So it's been about almost a year that I have been, I have a Glowforge. I'm about to get a Thunder, which I'm really excited about. Nice. But the Glowforge fits.
Well, how are you going to travel with the Thunder?
A Bolt?
I know. I'm going to have to get like a moving truck or something. So.
Are you getting which Thunder are you getting? Getting
the Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Nice.
So still relatively small,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Definitely a lot, like, I think it's just a lot taller, basically, than the Glowforge, right? Yeah.
I have tiny hopes that I could maybe fit it in my vehicle, but I don't think I will be able to.
What's your vehicle?
It's a Toyota Corolla, so it could fit more than you think, but probably not a Bolt.
Probably not, yeah.
Now you upgrade to van life.
I could. Right. I totally
van
could.
Or a truck or SUV.
Or a school bus.
Or a school bus.
Yeah, you can convert it like a mini school bus.
Yeah, there are people that have like
there's
cool,
a whole
like,
Facebook group
stuff. Yeah,
dedicated to I got a flash. Dedicated to school bus like remodels.
Conversions.
Yeah.
No, I've seen some pretty amazing things done with the school bus.
Yep.
That's true.
So I'm currently trying to decide where do I want to live.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy a house somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be. I've got a couple more months to figure it out, and then I'll let you know where I land.
Hey there, podcast listeners. How great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape your 9-to-5 to embrace your lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Freedom to Create webinar, where you'll learn how to make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Freedom to Create webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So what are you waiting for? Visit crazylazerdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser ready blanks.
So what places have you gone so far?
Yeah, it's not as exciting as it maybe sounds on the front end, but I found a lake cabin up in Minnesota, which was like relatively close to where one of my sisters lived. And so I was there for a couple months. I was spending so much time though at my sister's house, and I hired her to help work on my business.
That's awesome.
So eventually I was like, she invited me. She's like, you want to just come like stay in our spare bedroom and, we can work together for as long as you need. So that is where I am right now in their spare room. This is my office, my bedroom, everything. And
nice.
It's been super fun. Like I have for they're 2 nieces, 2 nephews.
That's
They're
awesome.
just a really fun age. So I feel like when else would I ever be able to just spend so much time around them?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I love how these businesses, they really can be as flexible as you want them to be.
Right.
You know, like, yes, if you have the physical product side, or, you know, if you have like a subscription model, or you need to like test things or that kind of stuff, like you would need to find, you know, the time or that kind of stuff. But like, it really is as flexible as you need it to be. You just have certain offerings that work with,
Right.
you know, the availability that you want, and you can do pretty much anything.
Yep. Yep. So it's been great. I mean, SVG file selling has changed everything about my life, and I only have good things to say. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me about this course too.
Oh, man.
So,
Yes,
let's talk about the positives and the negatives and all of it.
Well, okay, so I don't regret it at all. I love that it's
Yes.
made. I love that I just finished the final I am not filming this course ever again, is how I feel.
Same. That's my silhouette for lasers course.
Yes.
It's like I've added a couple things here and there.
Mhm.
But once I finished it, I wanted to I tore it apart and wanted to, re-record everything and record it better. And I should have done this and I should have done that. And then when I saw that people are still getting value from it, like a couple years later, I'm like, it's fine. I'll add to it if I need to, but there's no way I'm putting myself through that torture for that course again.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so it was almost exactly a year ago. I started business coaching, which is like one of the best things I've ever done. And
Nice.
so my business coach was like, Liz, you really should start to think about education. Like everyone who's scaling right now, most of them are scaling with education and courses and that sorts of thing. So that was really the first time I had considered that. And I am like, filming is like, I hate putting makeup on. I hate getting ready for the day, right? So it is not something I love naturally, but I love that I am getting to see so many students just really learn a whole lot and be transformed, start their SVG shop. So it's worth it. I just want to say it's worth it. I just don't want to do it again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I initially did it, he was still working full time. So I had to do all of that like 100% on my own. And I highly underestimated, one, the filming, recording, re-recording,
All the tech of it
editing,
takes
the
time.
site creation, the my landing page made me cry way more times than I would like to admit.
Yes.
Like the domain settings and changing the DNS. There was just so many things that I just was not prepared for, that I didn't know about. And so then it's like, oh, okay, you finish one thing, right? At first you initially just think, oh, okay, I record these videos, I edit them, and I put them up somewhere. It's not that simple. There's so many other things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And like he had attempted to help me with the editing, and then that was terrible because we didn't have like the proper like things in place for easy like file sharing back and forth.
Yep.
And then when he like sent them back to me, they didn't work. And so I had to like re-edit all of them. Like I spent like 8 to 10 hours the next day re-editing everything again. And I had to learn how to edit. I had never like
I had never done any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it's so
It's a lot.
much. And it's like it's almost better that you don't know how much it is, because then you may not get started, which
Did
is
you
also
know you would spend an entire year filming yourself over and over again? Yeah.
and I did mine in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So like I did some like pre stuff ahead of that. Like, so I set up my Facebook group. I set up an email list for a wait list. I a lot of like kind of trivial things. And I recorded, and then I did a small like test student batch. And then I recorded the content like the week before it was
Same.
going to come out.
Same. Yeah.
And
Don't miss those days.
my God, and again, it like
a lot of tears.
The way I work, it's almost like how I had to do it, unfortunately, because that was never the intention. It was, I'm gonna finish it and it's gonna be done before I even launch, like day one. And it did not go that way. And those deadlines kind of helped me like just get it done. And then 2, done is better than perfect. Yes, you want the information to be there. You want it to look well, but it does not have to be perfection, because perfection is like, it's not possible, you know? And so like allowing like, oh, okay, yes, it may not be like 100% like, you know, exactly how you envisioned it, but is it close? Is the information there? Is, you know, is it easy to follow? You know, those kind of important things that need to be in there. But yeah, going through it, and then when it's finally done, it's so freeing. And then you start getting the feedback from your students and you're like, oh, okay, so that was actually worth it. It was worth putting in that time and the energies and the literal tears that came from it. But then what happened was I decided I wanted to do an LED course. And because I knew how much work courses were, I procrastinated on it for 2 years. And now that I finally got that course out, I never want to make one again.
We got one more.
Oh, crap.
Oh, what are you going to do?
So this
We're doing
one,
a podcast one.
Famous last words. We're going to make it a little bit simpler, but it's not going to be possible, I don't think.
Like how to start a podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we get that question all the time, and it's not a simple you do this, you know? Yeah. And so there's just so many pieces to it. And you know, if someone is asking you something all of the time, it means a couple things. You either aren't explaining it well enough or often enough, or 2, there's an interest for it. And so we're seeing that there's an interest in it, and that people don't know where to start when it goes for podcasts. And the same reason I did the LED course, and the same reason with Silhouette, you know, people always thought, oh, I have to go buy Illustrator, or I have to, you know, deal with Inkscape. And it's like, you don't have to. So with the podcast, especially, we realized when we went to a podcast conference in January that we unintentionally broke the mold as far as what we did for our podcast in order to monetize it. So, you know, like if you follow anybody, I'm sure there's some that don't say the same thing, but you follow most people, you know, higher up in the podcast industry, they all say you can't make money until you get 1,000 downloads per episode. And that's complete bullshit.
Well, no, 1,000, not just per episode, but per month.
Per episode. Which is
that's a lot.
Crazy, unattainable numbers. Like
it's not unattainable if you're coming from an entertainment background. So if you already have a following,
if you're a comedian or an actor but like if you're just a Joe Schmo who has like a great idea, a finance podcast, or like us, a laser podcast, especially a niche one especially, because you know they would tell you like, oh, you can't really like make money with ads and that kind of stuff, and it's not true. If you have a good following, if you have good content, if you're consistent, that's honestly really all you need to be able to monetize it
at some level,
right? Like, and even if it's just the first month that we started, so it took us 8 months to set up our Patreon, because we had people who wanted to donate to us, but they didn't have like an easy form, you know, to do so. And so then we started looking into Patreon, and we set up Patreon. And
don't give away the whole course.
Well, yeah, but
but I'm curious, like, what's your revenue streams? You have Patreon, and then
Patreon and the ads basically is how, and even with the ads, so I actually just finished it today. We got to the point where, so we have 4 ad spaces that air every single episode. And 4 was what we wanted it to be our max, because the other thing is too, you don't want your whole episode to be full of ads.
No one loves that, right?
Right. No one loves that.
Right.
So, it was finding this balance between literally people want to give us money for some kind of mention or piece or part of the podcast, but we didn't want to overwhelm our listeners, with ads and stuff. And so that's when we added things like the top of the episode mention that we, Katie from Monarch Pine and her code. And so we had to get really, really creative with ways, like creating ways that they could support our podcast while also getting their name out there to people, to our listeners who, support the podcast. So honestly, you just got to get creative. If you see that you have a following in any sort, find another way that you can provide value in a different way. Even better if it's something that's passive, like digital files,
right?
And courses too. I mean, courses are like, same with digital files. They're like half passive. You do the work in the front end, and then you can sell it. Right. Yes.
Even for passive.
True. But finding those passive incomes and different streams is then how you have eventually have, a solid business, and one that is sustainable for longer. Because if one thing falls off, like if you're only a designer, if sales, people aren't buying as many files, or, you know what I mean? Like you have to have these, you have to diversify
or
your
if you hit a block,
right?
And you can't.
Oh, and I totally have a few
you don't
times,
have you don't have the like motivation to design, and everyone's bought up all your designs. Now you're like
now what?
In a rut.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, I have that one. I'm waiting for a new one to drop, but you're not inspired. You're not like, so
right. The hard part is I feel like I diversified a little too hard.
Yeah.
And so now
Miss Diversity over here.
Because like it's just really hard, to they're all my babies. Like the courses, the files, the podcast, the keychain accessories, like they're all, so it's hard to let, one of them go. And so it's just shifting and making sure when I make decisions in any of those businesses, what is my ultimate goal? And so we were actually, which we've been having the talk, offline and not on lives and recordings a couple times, but we actually had a live with Will Louie last week, and he had asked us, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what part of your business, like if you could do more of that, what would it be? And it was the podcast. And so with that in mind, we need to remember that when making business decisions. When I'm making decisions on keychain inventory and keychain offerings and that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, is this something that I really want to have and I really feel is going to add to my business and not take away from other stuff? Or is it going to help me do more of the podcast? Or, you know what I mean? Like making sure to not get distracted in I want to buy all the fun, pretty, cute things, because it's easy to do.
It's easy. And I feel like when you have that 5-year goal, then you can kind of back engineer it. So if you want this amount of income in 5 years, just break it down by year, and then you have an attainable goal to hit, and it becomes like tangible. Yeah.
Exactly. Because it can feel like, sometimes it's even hard to have a goal because you're like, well, I don't even know how I'm going to get there. Or it doesn't feel attainable because, you didn't like reverse engineer it, For us, one of our first goals, and still is to like cover this month's expenses and to pay bills on auto pay and not worry about like, you know, is this enough there, or moving things around or doing that little dance, you know. Sometimes it's those little goals that are good in the interim, but then also saying, okay, down the road I want to make this much. And like he's done it with his video stuff. Okay, I need this many clients a month at this much, you know, per job in order to get there. And then it's like, okay, and now what do I do to make that happen?
I just sent my first fat proposal.
Oh, he did. And we were bullied in a nice way.
Yeah.
On
well, not bullied.
Facebook
I
Live.
asked for the advice, and sent the first big
That's
proposal.
true. Is that the first one that you've sent that big? Is that high?
Yes, first one. First one.
Well, good job. Even if they don't take it.
Yeah, thank you.
That is huge. Because I mean, it reminds me of when we had Kelsey on, and she sent her first big proposal and was like, "Oh, okay, if you want this is
and
how much."
It was a basically a victim of like what you call it, imposter syndrome,
right?
And also because what they were saying in the live today that we had, where I asked for advice, they just repeated everything in the course that I took, because I also took a video business course, basically how to turn your passion and video into like basically talking about the business side, about funnels, and I had never heard of a business funnel prior to then, and didn't have a full understanding until I got like into it.
Right.
But you know, it was just the same stuff back, you know, just being told to me back, but by different people, by people who I knew, as opposed to this
some guy
off of Instagram. This guy off of Instagram that I paid for the course.
Right.
That's like, are you scamming me, or does this really work? You know, because there's always in the back of your mind when you take like those courses for people you don't know, you know, you have that like, is this a scam? And then of course, the thing of
some of them are,
right. Well, and then of course, he was the first one I ever even like heard that. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. It's like there's a course for this, and it wasn't like super expensive. Then of course, like the algorithm does, once you see one and you like watch a few of those videos, now you're being inundated. I'm like, wait, there's tons of people doing this. I'm like, wait, how? And everyone's the same thing. Your first 10K month, get your 10K month. I'm like, wait, everyone's pushing the same thing. Like, and by that point, I was already invested.
Well, and it's hard because there's actually, for us legitimate course people, there's digital course creators who are like basically selling someone else's course. It's like a pre-made course that they literally put their name on, and like
it's almost like a pyramid slash what is that, MML or
MLM?
LMM. Yes, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, and all the websites look the same. And I've seen a few of videographers in the area that when I go to their website, I'm like, oh, you took one of these courses, because their website is laid out exactly the same way.
So I will say on that tangent, I took a course on how to create a course. And and some of the things I did, so I didn't go 100% like on like her path, but if you look at like my landing page, she literally gives you templates that, I changed like a lot. But you know, it's because it's those same like tips and tools that she's teaching to people, right? But then it comes down to taking that and turning it into your niche, making it your own, making it your content. And as far as like anyone who's searching for courses, I always recommend, even people who are ever looking at any of mine, I understand that my teaching style may not be for you. I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm undiagnosed ADHD. Like, you know, it's sometimes it's not so pretty. I'm a little goofy. I really struggle to be serious. And so I made sure, you know, one, I have the Facebook group, and then I have the few free videos on YouTube, and I always encourage them to go check out those free videos, or if you're trying to figure out if someone's for you, if a teacher or a course instructor is for you, go check out their free content, check out their Instagram, check out their stories, check out whatever you can about them, and see, can you find any tutorials from them? Can you see how they teach? Can you follow them?
Right.
All of that is very important, because I never claim to be like the end all be all, like best teacher or only teacher for that subject. Like, it's totally okay if someone else follows like you better. But yeah, we went on like 14 different tangents.
No, it's all on course.
All on course stuff, which you made me think of something too. Well, first, I'd love to know, which course did you take on making courses?
DCA.
Amy
Porterfield.
Okay. So good.
Yeah. Is that what you took, or did you take a different one?
I didn't take a course, but I got help after I made it, which is why I re-recorded it. But yeah, like for me, I created a free class first. And my main encouragement I got was give away so much that it hurts. And really, like, it felt like, but this is my whole life. Like, I am a file seller. How much is okay to give away?
Right.
But it was so true. Like, the more I gave away, the more it hurt, the more it attracted people to me, because it's really full information, right? So it's a little bit, you have to kind of talk yourself into thinking like, okay, give away value. And then it's like the reciprocity factor. Like, if somebody gives you something, you feel more attracted to them, or like indebted, but not really indebted. You know what I mean? But so that was like some of the best advice I got when I was first getting started, was like, give away. It's going to hurt. Yeah. You're never going to regret it. And it was so true. I just
and I've literally had people buy my course that I knew damn well they were never actually going to take it. Simply to support or to have it just in case, or, you know, just as a resource to have in their back pocket. Like that always surprised me. And that happened like with the LED course as well. And I was like, what time do you have to make an LED signs with a couple of people who took it, or
it could also be curiosity on how do you do it, and just, and like even the course, going back to the course I took, I didn't understand. There was things that were being said that were over my head, like especially on the marketing side, like what a funnel is, and I had some sort, but until like I got into it,
I didn't know what a lead magnet was before course creation.
I know, right?
Exactly. So now not now, but like when I got into it a little bit more, and I was like maybe like 6 months in or whatever. Yeah, I kind of revisited the course, specifically on that marketing side of everything,
and then I listened to different things from it, right?
Exactly, I listened to it. Now I was listening it through like a new pair of ears, because now I'm exposed to some of these things, and watching, and then also not knowing that I was researching it, but like listening to Gary Vee, and like trying to listen to more like marketing people to kind of like figure out how to market a video business, right? I go back and listen to it. I'm like, oh, they're saying kind of the same things. Right. Like they're kind of like showing, they're the same principles, right? Just a little bit different, and showing other examples. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm understanding it better, because I'm in it a little bit more, and it's not the first time I'm hearing it. Yeah. So,
well, and then like you were saying with the free content, it's almost like you sharing that. It shows your character. It proves knowledge. It proves you're trustworthy. It does so much more. And yes, like technically it's free, but if it's good quality content and your heart is in the right place of legitimately wanting to like help more people, that will come across in your content and in what you give for free. And then people feel more comfortable spending that money. Like, I don't know what your courses go for, but mine is, I think it's been so long. It's 200 something for tier 1, and then 448, I believe, for tier 2. And so with the silhouette, the LEDs, that one, it's not nearly as intensive, although it felt every bit as intensive. Yes. That one's 128 and 198. But that's a lot of money to people.
Yeah.
And so for them to want to feel comfortable in putting that kind of money into something that, they can't really see for obvious reasons. You don't want to give them everything or show them all of it, because then, whatever, it's not, you don't make any money. But giving that content and showing them, hey, I'm here to help, they'll be more willing to invest in that, knowing that they're likely to get something in return.
Yeah.
And it's easier with courses or something. I think going forward, I'll probably try instead is more the webinar route, or like paid tutorials that I set up that like people schedule, and if they can't make it, they'll get the recording, but it was like recorded that day. I feel like those have a little bit more flexibility and a little less of the like filming and editing and recording all the time, but then they still get that same information. But this way, a silhouette, I was running into, there's only so many people I can help in a day. People would have questions and they wouldn't have one question. I would help them with one piece, and then it was like, oh, okay, well, I ran into this. Or, okay, now that I've welded it, now what do I do? Yeah. Or what about my acrylic settings? Or, like it would snowball. And like I had, you have to get to the hardest part of being a business owner for me was boundaries and finding those boundaries, because it's so easy to respond to someone right away because I know the answer and I want to help them. Right. And I still do that sometimes when I can, within reason. Right. And as long as it fits my boundary that I'm feeling I need to have, at that time. Yeah. Like I had a recent course student who actually purchased the course, but then in a way it felt like they thought that they had now like premium access. Yeah. And I had to make sure that like I feel like it's clear that that's not what they're getting when they purchase it. But that may not even have been their intention. That's just what it felt like at the time, because they were asking me questions that were, covered in the first few lessons of the course. And so I make sure when those kind of things happen, like, oh, it's in this module, this lesson, it's covered here. If you still have questions, let me know, that kind of stuff. Cause it's difficult. You want to help everybody, but then like if I'm helping her and I'm spending, it can easily turn into 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours. Now I'm not putting that time and energy either into my business or my family, my son's soccer or dinner or, whatever. So I feel like courses do help with that, but you still have to set some healthy boundaries.
Set some boundaries. Sure. And, it was really helpful. I hired a support team. So they run my course community for me. I do a live call every week where people can have interactions with me. Nice. So there's still that, personal touch. But I think in order to scale, you really can't be in your course all day long. Like it just, it doesn't work, but still you want your students supported. So I found that is really helpful for me to just get some support team of some former students. Yeah. They can answer a lot of the questions. And
that's great. Yeah. You'll have to tell me a little bit more about that offline. Cause that would be good to know. Cause I mean, sometimes you just don't even know like where to start, who to reach out to, what do you pay them? Like what are the, what's the compensation, cause it's just like, I think that's something I've run into too, as far as business goes is, you don't know what you don't know. And then when sometimes you need to outsource or learn something or hire, then it's where do I go
You
for
gotta
that?
learn how to do that again. Yeah.
Right.
Whole thing.
Then it's a whole new tunnel of like, do I hire virtually? Who do you trust? Who do you and what do you have them do, and that kind of stuff. But setting the boundaries and not like, I'm by no means am I unattainable. I'm just not going to answer your private message immediately,
Right.
Or I may direct you to my email, or like you having the weekly lives and, oh, hey, submit questions by email. Maybe you try and get back to them within 24 hours or come to the live next week. And then, I can answer your question, go over it more in depth there. So it's just in life too. You gotta put those boundaries, because if you don't, people will intentionally and sometimes very unintentionally like cross those because they don't know that it is one.
Well, and then sometimes, especially with the course and silhouette, sometimes they're working on a project and they need this answer now.
I totally know that feeling.
It's like, I don't have time to sit through the entire course and wait to get this one question answered. So,
and that's why things like me directing them to like the module or the lesson, like I don't expect you to go through all, I don't know how many hours of the course and look for that one thing, especially when you're in that moment and you just need that answer, you'll start skipping through parts and then you'll miss it. And then, it was there, but you didn't see it because you were too rushed in trying to, get through. And then it's like, okay, if I can tell you to go to this lesson, you can watch that slowly and then find, what you need or whatever. But then that's where the groups are also helpful. My free group that'll always be free is the Silhouette for Lasers group. And I encourage people, when I get some people aren't like, they don't feel comfortable, posting publicly. They're always scared it's going to be, a dumb question or something they should know or, whatever. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, people aren't going to think that. And if someone ever publicly thinks that, like, they're gone, that's not the culture.
That's also like, that's not the culture. And you guys, I say you guys because it's multiple groups.
Right.
But you've all built the group on the same premise of these before you guys got into it. That's how the groups were.
Right.
They were very
much
negative and very like just not a nice place to be. So you've built a community around where you feel a safe place to ask those questions as a beginner, so you can get the answers you need from people who know what they're doing.
Right. Well, and that's like you ask it in Silhouette. Okay, maybe I am not available. Maybe I don't see it because of Facebook notifications that are terrible. Yeah. But then, the people who are in there, a lot of those people, they have either taken the course and know the answer, or they've used Silhouette for 10 years and they know the answer, or, maybe this guy knows this way, but this girl knows this way, and they're 2 different ways, and you learn something new that you didn't know before. Like, hell, I've watched other people use Silhouette, and I'm like, that's how you do that?
I know, right? I still learn. It's my full-time thing, and I'm learning new things in Adobe Illustrator all the time. I'm like,
all the time. Well, and I mean, especially Adobe Illustrator, because I feel like, I don't know if anybody knows all the things that Illustrator can do, because it can do so much. Yeah. But I learned something as simple, because again, self-taught. I didn't take any classes on Silhouette. I just would play with it until I could figure it out. And then, watching some YouTube videos here and there when I actually knew what the heck to look for. But like something as simple as the copy, paste in front. I didn't know that was a thing for years. And when I right click, it's right there. It's an option. Copy, paste, and I'm pretty sure paste in front is right below it. But I was so in my habits of Control C, Control V, that I just didn't even know that Control F, paste in front, was an option. Right. And it actually took me doing a tutorial in Silhouette for my group, like showing them, someone had asked a question. She was doing like a cheetah print on a watch band, and she didn't want there to be a bunch of excess prints past the watch band for her design. And so she wanted to crop that down. And she couldn't figure out how, every time she'd, she couldn't figure out how to crop her pattern. And then when I was showing that, I in Silhouette, when you crop the pattern or subtract the shape that you want, it eliminates whatever shape was there. And so I would always copy and paste it, set that one off to the side, and then cut the pattern. And then I would manually line that crap up afterwards. And someone private messaged me and she was like, oh my God, girl. She was like, hopefully I'm not overstepping, but you can do copy paste control F or paste in front, and you just make a copy of it. And so one of them is gone to, crop down your pattern. And then the other one that was just there before you cropped it down is still there. So so just little things like that, not that I was making my life a million times harder by having to line it up afterwards, but like learning those little things like that will save you hours over time when know you're not doing things in a more difficult way. Right. And that's by people watching you. And then also I ended up, I think, redoing the tutorial or doing a second one. And then I gave her credit and like tagged her and was like, thank you for reaching out. Like never feel bad for reaching out to me, even as a teacher, to tell me, here's another way. Right. Because I probably just don't know. And I've been doing it that way for years and didn't know that way existed.
And I feel like it's all the more case for like collaboration and the fact that there's room for all like so many courses on the same subject is actually helpful because we learn so much from each other. I've just heard so many of my laser friends be like, well, there's already a course on this, or, someone's already teaching on, but I'm like, we need a lot of those. We need people to step in.
And I struggled with that even with the LED course because there was a ton of people who came out with LED courses, mainly on basically this flex stuff that is behind me. And that wasn't what I was teaching, but it still gave me a complex of, okay, all these people have joined. Now, mind you, after I had already thought about it and procrastinated for 2 years, obviously there's going to be people, jump in and jump on it. And even if I hadn't, even if I would have done it, in August 2022, when I had every intention of, we all have different teaching styles. We have a different focus. My focus was on showing them simple LED signs that didn't require any soldering because I personally hated soldering and I had no intentions of doing any of that. And most of the other techniques required that. And so, yes, like you said, even the same subject taught by someone else, you'll learn different things, different focuses. I'm sure you cover more, or at least touch on the modern design part, which maybe the other teachers may not, because that's just not their style.
Yeah. So the course I'm teaching now is all about how to start and scale your SVG file shop. And I do teach it from a more modern lens, but like, I honestly believe this. It's not that I think that style is better than everyone else, right? There's a market for every type of style, but just the fact that nobody has been teaching on that yet is exciting. It's an exciting space to step into. And it's a little bit of what is going to differentiate you. So anyone else can teach on file selling and you're probably going to have a different style than me, or there's going to be something that's unique to you that's going to make your course or your teaching valuable. So
yeah. I tell all of my friends, if they have something or a process or something that's unique to them, or if they just have a particular focus, like Tabitha Laser Llama. We tell her all the time, after her seeing me go through this LED course recently, she was like, I don't think I want to do an LED course. And I'm like, or not an LED course. I don't think I want to do a course. I think I'm going to do more webinar. And I'm like, good idea. Yeah,
I know we're not like making the best case for course making over here. The first half of the podcast,
it's hit and miss. I mean, I think it honestly depends on the amount of content. Or maybe that's like a starting point. And like for me now, I'm gonna kind of more focus on like piecing it out. So I have my base course, and then now, because the ideas won't stop, I'm gonna kind of call them like expansion packs. And then I may even eventually like sell the individual signs like with the like instruction as like individual kind of like mini courses or mini tutorials, because maybe someone only wants to learn how that sign looks, or, just adding to it as I go. And, but I think if you kind of like the podcast thing, I don't think a webinar, unfortunately, as much as I kind of want to go that route, would make sense, because there's just so much information and so many different aspects as far as equipment and monetizing and just the topics. And like that would have to be several like regular webinars. And I feel like the information would kind of be missed, because it wouldn't necessarily go in succession if they didn't join each one. So yes, like you said, I don't want people, I don't want to shy people away from them 100%. They're a lot of work, but they end up most times like being worth it in the end. Like I'm proud of myself, and I'm glad that I accomplished both of them, because they were still are huge, pieces of me and my business. And, the Silhouette for Lasers has slowed down a bit, partially in me, because I haven't, worked on marketing it and making sure that I'm like telling people it still exists,
Yep. Side note, have you read Launch by Jeff Walker?
No, but I'll add it.
That's gonna be a game changer for your course advertising.
Okay.
Like 100% do what he said.
I don't do launching well. So that's a good point where we should save that for the Patreon
members.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get out all the good stuff. So the codes. So the code for general admission, as John calls it, is Riley Black. And what % did you do for that?
Yeah. Well, which one is this? The general admission.
This is just the one for everybody, the lower one.
Yeah. So I have the Etsy shop Bela Collective. You can take 15% off your order anytime, all the time. It never expires.
Awesome.
Nice.
That is another one too. I asked her, I said, hey, does this have an expiration date, or do you want it good for forever? And she said forever. And so that'll be a good thing to add to the supplier list that we want to do for all the codes that we can have the codes that expire that month, but then also have the ones that are like good all the time. Like, oh, hey, let me check out her shop.
And what's the code for the?
Riley Black.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other one is a secret.
Is a secret.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that'll be on for Patreon members.
I'll tell you later. How about that?
And then where can people find you if they want to learn more about your courses and your new project, all that kind of stuff? So
belacollective.com will have links out to everywhere. My Etsy store, my website, all my classes, my courses, or my course, one course that I have. And if you go to behindthelaser.com, that's going to take you to this new video project that you're a part of, Crystal, and a bunch of other really amazing women in the laser world are there too.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, hang out right there so we can continue the conversation. But if you guys would like to learn more about where this conversation is going to go, you're going to have to join Patreon.
Yes.
Simply is $4 a month. That's the entry level. That's the lowest tier.
And we just recently added a whole bunch of extra value to that too.
Because now
no ads,
ad free. You get extended interviews. There are 2 After Darks quarterly. That we're gonna do
2 exclusive ones.
2 exclusive ones, yeah.
And then one that's
exclusive.
Public. Yeah.
There's a whole Facebook page just for Patreon members. And listen, we've kicked out people who have paid for it.
It's been very uncomfortable.
It's been uncomfortable for her. But I'm like, listen, this is just for paid members. So if you're not gonna renew, you gotta get out.
That's true. I gotta check.
So,
there's probably a couple people.
We're booting you. If you've gotten away with it so far, you're getting the boot. But no, $4 a month is the entry level.
Yes.
You get a whole bunch. There's a ton of value there.
Yeah.
But with that said, for you guys, life updates coming up next, and we're back. Life update time. Boom, boom. Soon to be brought to you by somebody. I like how we're both on the mic.
We clearly just finished. But I finished the graphic today in Canva, creating additional sponsorship opportunities. we've literally had people come to us and ask how they can sponsor the podcast, and we'd be like,
and we don't want to inundate you with ads,
right?
So
so we want to find little ways.
You guys, general admission,
right? We want
Patreon doesn't get ads.
Well, I mean, they'll still get like the mentions during the episode and stuff. But yeah, we just wanted to find new ways that we can take sponsors' money,
right,
and help us
not take their money, just make money, promote products, promote
and
people,
mutually beneficial relationships where they get their name out there. We get some more support for a podcast. We can do more of this more often.
Right.
Next year, one of the focuses is going to be the tour, if not a few parts of the tour.
Yes. I'm going to pick up a second recorder tomorrow.
The only way we're going to be able to make that happen is through some sponsorships.
And pushing,
it's really podcast. Expensive. But it's something we really want to do. Hell, even if we do it once and never again, that might happen. We may hate it, or it may just not be what we think it's going to be. It's possible.
I don't know.
But are you for real?
Oh, she got it. She killed it in her eye. She blinked it to death. Oh, no, she didn't. It's flying behind you.
It went under my glasses.
It's getting bold. Yes, I see it. It's getting bold.
Him or his fucking cousin already made an appearance in the course.
It's our mascot, the fly.
Fucking fruit flies.
I can't wait for it to fly because I think it's this light that attracts it. And I also use this light when I'm using the fiber. So it's going to fly into the fiber beam.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
You or your homies. Send your brother on over. I'm zap him.
So
you know what I need? I need one of those
zappers
the tennis racket looking
zapper,
things.
Yeah.
We have to keep it away from the boys though. That would be
they're going to hit each other with it.
They would. Anyway, so the tour is going to be expensive, and one way that we plan to pay for it will be selling keychain thingies and with the Patreon memberships and all those kind of things. But that's not enough. We have to pay for gas, we have to pay for whatever vehicle we're in, we have to stay somewhere, we have to eat, we won't be sending keychain thingies while we're gone, that kind of things.
We might. There are post offices everywhere.
That's true. We have considered bringing that orders. Stuff on the road with us, but then
still limited supply though.
Right, exactly.
We might hit the max of. We might run out of baggies.
True, we might run out or whatever. Yeah. Which is a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've been pivoting for the 400th time this year.
Everyone always. As a business, I feel like you pivot. That's what you do.
Just over and over and over.
In the past years, Riley Black Media has pivoted so many times. Get away from me.
He's on your microphone.
I know. I don't want to hit the microphone because people are gonna. Anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
We need to name him at this point because he's
it's
just.
A fly.
God.
So yeah, we're doubling down on podcast.
Yeah, and we've go ahead.
No, I was gonna say not to say that we're not gonna be making things and stuff like that. It's just gonna be
so it's gonna be a lot of content. It's gonna be podcast content. Yeah. It's gonna be acrylic content because as I've been organizing it, David, yes, I'm talking to you. He was like, I feel like you've been talking about organizing your acrylic forever on the podcast, and it's like, well, because I have.
She found a new box. I
can't agree.
From 23. From last year.
I did. After I basically had finished.
Yeah. She organized everything and then found
and I was like,
a full
what's this
box of acrylic. Yeah.
That would have been real helpful to have for the course. And it's actually what I think I bought it for and forgot it even existed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to make a lot of acrylic content. If you're local to Central Florida and you need some acrylic,
stop on by.
Come on by. I got a lot, too much. So what we're going to be focusing on is
Just work past it. Just work past it.
Is the podcast more and how to make that still like our long-term goal.
Yeah.
And then, maybe the other things just phase out, or those things are more passive, or we have someone run the keychain thingies stuff for us.
Oh,
and
no,
then
we're totally going to. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Here. Yeah.
Someone fills the orders and ships and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, yes, I can do order inventory and new products and that kind of stuff. But the actual fulfilling of the orders done by someone else would be helpful, especially if we're on the road, because I don't want that stuff to end or have to worry about, well, now we have to take all the stuff with us and we have to find.
You almost did it. Get him. Where'd he go? I lost him.
God damn it.
I was waiting for him over here and then he disappeared.
Okay. So we've had a lot of conversations on what are our goals, what are our intentions, what do we want, are we moving in that direction? I feel like it's just something you got to do on a regular basis. It's not like, oh, okay, we just did that last month. It's like, okay, even if the conversation is, are we on track? Yes. Okay, keep going.
Right.
If it's like, we didn't get as far. Yeah, exactly. We need to do more of the check-ins now, and just, before we do any kind of business move, does this align with what our ultimate goals are? And then just make sure we're moving with that intention. Because if we don't, we're potentially going to get we're all over the place.
Yeah.
So
that's all we got.
Look forward to more content from us. I actually did, it's from Blake, so take that with what you want. But he reached out to me today and he sent me a message and he said, your content has been fire lately.
Oh.
Right?
Thank you, Blake.
So it was a nice little high five that hey, I've noticed.
Right.
That you're doing more or
keep
better
up the good
or
work.
whatever. Just keep it up. And then Heather joined my live for 5 seconds today. She was like, "You're live? Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm the new Crystal." And I asked him, I was like, "Should I go live while packing orders today?" And he was like, yes. If you're thinking about it, go live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And it was a great live.
It was.
We had a good conversation. He sent a proposal that was twice what he was initially going to send.
Yep.
And it was just a great conversation about charging your worth, because we all really struggle.
Right. And it
with
was
that.
it was really just really organic. I mean, all you were doing was packing orders.
Yeah.
And I was drafting up my proposal and I just yelled out 3 prices to her, like, hey, these are the 3 tiers I'm deciding to offer.
Yeah.
And then Will hopped on and we had a whole conversation about how to price.
Yeah, he was like, "Let me on. I have some input." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. So it was really
and we
good.
talked about the 3 price theory and pricing closer to the one that you want them to buy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check it out. It's in the group for 30 days. We get a little off topic sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
So this one I'm gonna delete
like an
after
after
30
dark
days, and
a lot of times.
it tends to just go that direction because that's just who we are, I feel. But
Yeah. So that's all we got. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not on Patreon, join now. And if you are, thank you so much. And thank you in general for watching and sticking with us. And,
you're the reason that we want to do this more.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And with that, it's been another great episode of the Riding Back Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
Mamie, we're all done.